So the question for today is, what's really next for the Clippers? Okay, because they're going to lose this series. They're going to lose this series. They can't stop Luka. That's number one. They don't score well down the stretch. That's number two. They play like iso ball, and it doesn't work. Luka's kind of scoring at will, and they're shooting. The Mavericks are shooting lights out, right? Like, we need to give credit. I mean, a lot of what's going on in the Clippers-Mavericks series, a lot of people are giving more blame to the Clippers than credit to the Mavericks. Give credit to the Mavericks. The Mavericks are playing absurd. Okay, there's three ways. There's three ways. Only three ways you can change and adjust and build your team. Draft, free agency, trades. 2021, they're going to have their first round pick, right? And it's not going to be very good, right? Because they got the 4 seed. I think there's such a draft like 19th, 20th, right? They don't have a second round pick, 2021. 2022, they don't have a first round pick. Right, they have a second round pick, so that's cool. 2023, they're going to swap if OKC decides to do that. Which at that point, they might not. But they might still. And then they have their second round pick. Right, so that's cool. And so they're going to get one in 2023. 2024, they don't have one. They have a second rounder, they don't have a first rounder. 2025, after the swap again, and they have the second rounder. 2026, they lose it to OKC, then they have the second rounder. Right, 2027, they have their first rounder. Right, next 7 years, 14 potential picks. They have 8. There's a possibility that in the first round of the next 5 years, the Clippers will either not be drafting, or they'll be drafting in the top 20. Two players fall for sure. Luka Doncic was like third, second or third. I don't know. Anthony Davis was first. LeBron James was first. Kevin Durant was second. You need a lottery pick if you're going to build your team. So it's not the draft. Okay, so what's number 2? Trade. Who's trading for Paul George? Who's trading for Paul George? You just gave him a gigantic max contract extension for Christmas last year. You better hope, you being the Clippers, better hope that there's some random team that also really just can't seem to figure it out that wouldn't mind having a second or third best player be Paul George. Paul George does not have the ability to be the best player on a championship contending team, and that is a fact. So, if you're going to trade for Paul George, you're going to trade for him as your second or third best option. He does not make second or third best option money. Two things. One is almost a fact, one is basically a fact, and one is a fact. One, they're losing this series. It's like I said, it's not a fact, but if they split in Dallas, they will be down 3-1. And number 2, and this is a fact, stars don't return to teams that got bounced out of the first round if they don't have the option to. Right? Like, you can't tell me if Kawhi Leonard goes to New York and plays for the Knicks, they're not all of a sudden one of, if not the best teams in the league. Or goes to the Heat. And that kind of brings me to my third thing, because remember, how do you build up a team? Draft, trades, free agency. They don't have any good assets to trade other than Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. One of those has a player option. One of those just signed an extension. So neither of those are good options. So draft's out of the question. Trades are out of the question. What about free agency? For the last 50 years has been a title contender. They won a title at the start of the 1980s, at the borderline at the start of the 1990s, at the start of the 2000s, at the start of the 2010s, and last year. One franchise, franchise A, for the last 50 years has been a title contender. They won a title at the start of the 1980s, at the borderline at the start of the 1990s, at the start of the 2000s, at the start of the 2010s, and last year. And franchise B has never even been to a Western Conference Finals. Why would you want to play with that one? Especially because they share the same building. The Clippers are not going to be able to get marquee free agents because nobody wants to play for them. So to answer the question, what's next for the Clippers? Like, the best case scenario, I think right now for the Clippers, is that they lose to the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, right? But even in that case, I don't think Kawhi Leonard signs. He doesn't resign. And here's the thing. You got to win one game in the postseason before you can even think about winning a series. And Paul George and Ty Lue saying that we're not worried, we're not concerned, it's a 4-game series. Bro, it's a 4-game series for you. It's not a 4-game series for the Mavericks. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Clippers still have a legitimate chance to win the NBA title this year? Do you think they still? Because I think that's out the window. I don't think they're getting past this round. Do you think that if they don't get past this round, they can still re-sign Kawhi, run it back next year? Let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. Click that subscribe button for even more content. But most importantly of all, have a great day.